Good evening, guys. It is Boxing Gossip here, coming to you live on a Monday evening. It's 9 o'clock here, UK time, and there is certainly a lot to talk about going on in the sport right at this particular moment. Just give me a second. I've made a few notes of various things that we're going to potentially cover over the course of this live. So to people who are new, to people who haven't tuned in to the live show before, Monday nights, as often as I can, I try and do a live show where anyone can call in, anyone can speak to me live, anyone can their opinions, ask any questions that they want to ask. The way, once a few more people have joined live, because we're only at 10 people watching live, but the way to do it is to add me on Skype. You can add me on Skype. Boxing.gossip is the username, and you can call in and we'll get you live on air. In the instance that nobody wants to call in on Skype, which has happened before, it probably won't be the most entertaining show. But if that does happen, then we'll go to the chat, and I can see there's people in the chat already. There's Mikey, there's Leon, there's Tom, there's YouTube, there's Harley, and there's Alex and Kiwi. Alex is on form tonight. So I hope everyone's doing well. Good evening to everyone who's joined live in the chat. So we'll get into it in just a moment in terms of some of the topics to discuss this week. Just before we do, just a quick rundown expect on the channel this week. So tomorrow I'm going to be dropping a video with my top 10 ranking for the global pound for pound list. So you've got that to look forward to on Tuesday, and that's going to cover who I believe are currently the top 10 fighters on the globe. We've had a few different comments come through on my vid where I did the top 10 British pound for pound fighters, so it'll be interesting to have a discussion on the top 10 global pound for pound fighters. I'm also hoping to do an interview tomorrow with undefeated Swedish heavyweight prospect Adrian Granat, who hardcore fans of the heavyweight scene may well be aware of. I believe he's knocked out Michael Sprott as well as one or two others, and rated very, very highly. So hopefully we'll get both of those up tomorrow. We'll have to see if I can get hold of Mr. Granat. On Wednesday night, as always, we got a podcast. So that goes live at 8:30, and it's a similar setup to this. It's just that we're not taking live callers because we'll have the usual panel assembled. And we'll be discussing the boxing from the previous week, Terence Crawford versus Victor Postol, as well as some of the stuff to look forward to for next week. And there's some real big fights. You've got the likes of Dillian Whyte versus David Allen, Leo Sanz Cruz versus Frampton. So there'll be lots to talk about on Wednesday's podcast. I'm very much looking forward to that. Then towards the end of the week, we're going to do a bit of a prediction competition. And seeing as I've got a few new people who've jumped on board on the channel recently, going to do a bit of a giveaway. So I have here, I hope it is, showing on the screen, I have here a decent glove, big old glove, signed by none other than Johnny Nelson, which I will be giving away on a video later on this week. Basically, I'm going to work out the details, but it'll be something relating to predicting the outcome of Saturday night's fights. So, yeah, if anyone's interested in getting that sent to them at my expense, please do check into the video. So, big week ahead, lots to talk about tonight. I've rambled for long enough, so we'll get into it now. Since I've last done a live show, since the podcast, there's been lots of stuff that's been going on. Joseph Parker fought Solomon Hamono. Izu Ugonu, heavyweight prospect, has had a fight. Sky have had two bits of good news. They've got Nathan Cleverly in a world title fight against Jürgen Bremer, and also they've got Jin Watt retiring. So we can certainly talk about both of those. Box Nation, however, they've got a lot to offer as well at the minute. They've got Ovill McKenzie versus Marco Huck, which is a big fight. And they've also got Frampton versus Leo Santa Cruz on Box Nation, which for me is a very big win for them as well. So huge amount to talk about. As always on the Monday show, not going to keep it too rigid, not going to necessarily discuss one topic or another topic. We'll go wherever it takes us. On Wednesday, we stick to more of a strict formula. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to load up Skype on my iPad, and I've got Stephen calling in. Let me get Stephen on live. Stephen, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Good, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, mate. Sorry I missed you. I didn't realise you were calling in there, mate.
No worries, man. No worries, man. That's good to get on.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in, mate. What's floating your boat in the world of boxing at present, then?
Terence Crawford lost in the weekend. Unbelievable performance, and the amount of people that were down to him as well. No, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I think he's one of the best fighters in the world. I was so taken aback by it. I did not expect that level of dominance.
No, exactly. And your prediction video was spot on. You know, it was absolutely spot on. And Postol was a really good fighter as well, but he just totally just couldn't get to him at all. That's it.
I mean, to be honest, Stephen, as you probably know, I get enough of them wrong, so I've got to celebrate it when I get one of them right. But yeah, I mean, it was like a man against boy in there, definitely. It really was. Who do you want to see him fight next?
I want to see Pacquiao fight. I want to see, and I know he'll beat Pacquiao. I think he's just got too much for Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao's regressed now. I mean, he's a lot older now, isn't he? He's not the same as he was. I don't think he has the work rate as he had before. You know, I think now I really want to see that. And I think it will be kind of like passing on the baton onto the next star. You know, somebody's going to hopefully make him a superstar. But I think Bob Arum wants it, but it's just whether Pacquiao and Freddie Roach want it. You know, that's the thing.
Absolutely. I guess it's one of those, they often use the phrase like it's a passing of the torch fight, don't they? I guess it'd be like Bob Arum kind of sacrificing Manny Pacquiao to build a new star, I guess.
Yeah, and just like you said before, obviously Pacquiao, he's come towards the end of his career. So obviously Bob Arum, he's just looking for that next star kind of thing. So you can totally understand why he wants him to win.
Yeah, definitely. I still think I was really impressed by Manny Pacquiao against Bradley, because I thought Manny Pacquiao was I thought he was gone against Mayweather. You know, I thought that was the end of his career, but
yeah,
he really impressed me. So I don't see that as a definite win for Crawford. You know, I think Pacquiao's still got a lot to offer, but how do you see that one?
I see where you're coming from, but I just think it's going to come down to work rate. Obviously, I think Crawford's got enough to beat him. Basically, I see where you're coming from, mate. It will be quite close and stuff, but I just think it's his time now, kind of thing. And what you say is also about momentum. Same thing, you know. I think the momentum's with Terence Crawford.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he's one of the. For me, I could see him. I know he's saying he doesn't want to fight on forever and he wants to retire young and he's got kids and, you know, that's all well and good. But if he does hang around, it would, honestly, I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. It wouldn't surprise me to see him do Floyd Mayweather, you know, and have years at the top. I think he's got everything for me, this guy, everything. He's probably the most well-rounded fighter in the sport for me.
So versatile, so many different things he can do and so well. Kind of thing. But I was going to ask you two things actually. I was going to ask you about who you're picking for the Frampton fight on the weekend, because that's a really good fight. So who you're picking for that, and also I was going to ask you about Billy Joe and who you think, if Billy Joe fought GGG, how well do you think he would do? Yeah.
So starting with Frampton, it's a fight I've changed my mind on several times. I need to watch a few more tapes before I need to see more of Leo Santa Cruz at featherweight. I need to go back and watch some of the tapes and see how the change in weight class has affected him. My initial instinct, if I'm honest, is that Santa Cruz will win the fight. And
Really?
the reason for me is, if you look at that Frampton Quigg fight, Frampton he's a superb boxer when he's allowed to dictate from reins, and he's given his space, and he's given his distance, and his timing. But Santa Cruz is a big man. He's got tremendous output, and he's going to just charge at Frampton. And for me, Frampton looked less comfortable when Quigg stuck it on him a bit. And Santa Cruz's punch stats are ridiculous, aren't they? They're like the leading output in the sport at the elite level. And I just think the step up in weight class is probably a better fit for Santa Cruz than Frampton. And I'm just not sure if Frampton will like the volume. Are you a Frampton? Are you picking Frampton, Stephen?
Well, I don't know too much about Santa Cruz. I don't know enough to sort of like. I've watched a lot of Frampton, but the odds are quite good for Frampton because he's the underdog. So okay. I'm thinking, is it worth putting some money on Frampton kind of thing?
What are the odds? I haven't actually looked into them yet.
Last time I checked, it was Frampton was 3-1 to win, I think, by decision.
Wow.
I'll double check now.
Yeah, that's. I wasn't expecting it to be that wide, actually.
Just double check now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure, but that's an interesting point you make, to be honest, about Santa Cruz. But I think it's going to be a good fight. It's really a good competitive fight, which we don't tend to see nowadays. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's two of the top guys in their divisions. I know they both changed divisions, but you're looking at two guys who are certainly at world title level fighting each other, and it's exactly what we want to see. And I think it's a real good clash of styles as well, which makes it real. I think it's going to be a good fight to watch is what I'm getting at.
No, absolutely. And Box Nation's got it as well. Got one on the sky.
Yeah, I was thinking that's a big win for them. And my old mate Oville McKenzie as well versus Marco Huck. Like that's there's some. They've been making some big moves, Box Nation, recently. So and the rumours are that Canelo is going to fight Billy Joe Saunders if he beats Liam Smith as well. So
okay,
yeah, so that's a huge fight for them later on in the year if that does get made. Obviously, it's early days, but I don't see Liam Smith beating Canelo. And Billy Joe's going out to fight on his undercard, probably as co-main event to look to build that fight. So that'd be a. You asked about Saunders versus Golovkin as well. I don't know. I've always been Billy Joe Saunders' #1 advocate. I rate the guy so highly. The truth is, I see him I can't see him beating Golovkin because Billy Joe, he just fades too much. He's faded in every fight he's had. And the last thing you want to do is be facing I could actually see Billy Joe winning the early rounds against Golovkin. I think he's so slick and he's so skilled. I could see him picking up the first 2 or 3 and maybe having a bit of an advantage. But you don't want to have 4 or 5 rounds left with Golovkin if your gas tank is empty.
That's the problem. That's the problem is his fitness. But he's a brilliant fighter, though.
Yeah.
Him against Canelo, that's a really interesting fight, actually, I think. I think he's got a lot more chance there.
Yeah, do you know what? I think he'll beat Canelo,
Wow.
I really do. If you look at the styles that Canelo's struggled with over the years, I mean, Floyd Mayweather Jr., like, obviously, he's like a once-in-a-lifetime fighter. He's obviously a league above Billy Joe Saunders. But Floyd Mayweather, absolutely schooled him. And Billy Joe Saunders is 2 weight classes above. And you look at the trouble like Austin Trout gave him and Lara gave him. I'm not saying Billy Joe Saunders is necessarily that sort of level, but it'll be the first guy that Canelo's fought at 160, if it happens, that is. And Billy Joe Saunders, for me, is a seriously underrated fighter who's improving. Yeah. And
I agree.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, from the Eubank fight, he's got. Obviously, Eubank has got a lot better as well, but he's got a lot better as well. Like, look what he did to the guy he won the title.
Andy Lee.
That's it, Andy Lee. Look what he did to unbelievable. So he's doing so well. And I think if he actually rematched Eubank again, I think he would beat him again, even more convincingly this time.
Do you know what? I totally agree. Eubank has improved. He really has improved, but he's not improved in the right areas. You know, he still can't block a jab, can he?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the problem. Yeah. And also, like, his father, like, what are your thoughts on his father, like, just taking over his career? Like, you know, I'm a massive Eubank fan. Like, of what he did back in the day, like his charisma and, you know, what he did for the sport. But just seeing him now, like the way he's just taken over his son's career and just so obviously so desperate for the attention, like, it is kind of like annoying to see, like, especially when he's getting in the way of big fights as well.
Part of me wonders if the whole thing is fabricated. You know, I wonder if they never had any intention of going to the Olympics. They never had any intention of doing a Saunders rematch. They never had any intention of doing the Golovkin thing. Like, his father's, like, I like Chris Eubank Sr. I enjoy watching him, but he's quite fame hungry, isn't he? He's done Celebrity in the Jungle and Celebrity Big Brother and stuff. Part of me thinking that they're just doing like an excellent game of raising his profile. You know, but I don't really know. You know, sometimes you look at Eubank Senior and you wonder, is he, you know, is he genuinely a bit eccentric? You know, like. But, do you know what? I love it or hate it. You're going to watch it, aren't you? That's the thing.
No, to be fair, he is entertaining. Like, I love that the entrances to the ring, like they're entertaining to watch. You know, I love his interviews and stuff. But, you know, don't tease like the hardcore fans about fights. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've got no intention of actually fighting them, like Golovkin, etc. If you do, then fair enough. But, you know, it's his fault that the whole fight didn't happen, kind of thing. I mean, I guess it may happen in the future, but it's just annoying, really.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is, if they genuinely do want that Golovkin fight, and I'm not convinced they do, but if they genuinely do want it, surely the best way of making that fight is to fight on the undercard. You know, fight someone like John Ryder on the undercard, or, you know, someone of that nature. And then when Golovkin beats Brook, which hopefully he doesn't, but we expect that he will do. You know, then you know, surely that fight is even bigger. You know, if Golovkin comes over, there's 500,000 pay-per-view buys. The whole of the UK is talking about him, and then Eubank steps up to fight him in 3 months' time. That's actually a bigger fight and a bigger payday. You know, that fight hasn't gone, has it?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. They could easily do that again in the O2, even bigger. And then, you know, they could use the whole weight as an excuse to say, now we're going to put you with the real 160 guy. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And actually, following on from that, Brook, do you think that he can go the distance with Golovkin? Not win, but go the distance. Is that possible, do you think?
No.
Straight up, no.
Stylistically, Brook has got no chance in this fight for me. He's got the chance that anyone has fighting anyone. You know, I could fight Golovkin and Golovkin could break his hand on my face, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
He could fall over in the ring and break his ankle. You know, something like that could happen. But I don't see a way that Kell Brook... I mean, Kell Brook, for me, is not the most versatile fighter. He's like an outside jabber who relies on long-range punching and power. And he's going up against a guy with a superior jab, you know, superior boxing pedigree, etc. So I think it's tough work for him. What about yourself?
No, I totally agree. I think in terms of on paper, yeah, he's probably the best. He's probably the best fighter he's come across in terms of like resume, etc. You know, champion and stuff. But in terms of skills, I just don't think he's got enough to beat him, to be honest. Like, he doesn't do enough. He's not versatile enough. You know, I just don't see how he could do it. In fact, when Khan fought Canelo, you could see how Khan could win that. Like, you could see it. Do you know what I mean? You could see the attributes that Khan has and what he could do to win it. But with Brook, you just can't see it. There's just no way you could. The only way, like you're saying, is if you got like a really lucky punch, or if like Golovkin, you know, broke his ankle or something. But yeah, it's highly unlikely. But I guess that he deserves the payday. You know, he hasn't really had a massive payday and been on this big stage kind of thing. So I can totally understand why he's taking the fight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's a fighting man, isn't he? He's got that pride. You know, I'm sure he believes he can win, but you know, I just don't see how he can.
That's right. And the thing is, as long as he, you know, the problem with a fight like this is, as you know, in a fight like this, someone can get seriously hurt. But assuming he doesn't get seriously hurt, let's say he just gets knocked out and he's fine. It's not damage. You know, if anything, it'll build his profile. It'll mean he can get bigger fights in the future. So it's not the only problem. The reason I'm sometimes nervous about fights like this is it is a very dangerous sport, and we have weight classes for a reason. But assuming he walks away from it, then I don't think it necessarily damages his career.
That's no, true. That's a good point. But again, just like you said, it's just that risk. You know, like any. Do you think that Khan has been damaged? Well, I get maybe it's too early to say, but would you say that he's been damaged from what's happened to him by Canelo?
I think so, because let's put it this way: Khan is, at the end of the day, Amir Khan is just a man, and he's an extremely brave man. He's got a huge set of balls, but he's just a man. Like, imagine if I don't know. Imagine getting knocked out like that. Like, it's damaging to your even your mental state, you know. Like, and punch resistance does fade. It's one of those things, and you know, Khan's a young man. I think he's like 29. He's not an old guy, but the amount of brutal knockouts he's had now, it's not good for you, is it? I mean,
no, it's not. It's true. And it will just catch up with you when you're older. But he must have. His self-belief must be so. He must just have such high self-belief to the point where he just, you know, he believes he's invincible to go through, to keep bouncing back all the time. You know, I guess it's the only positive you can take out of it.
Yeah, his obsession with fighting Mayweather has, for me, really damaged his career. It led him being inactive, and he became so desperate for that big fight. You know, he kind of ignored like some of the obvious opportunities, you know, and he ended up going down the Canelo route because it was the big fight. And, you know, imagine if he'd fought Kell Brook, he'd have got the same amount of money. And personally, I'd favour Kell Brook in that fight, but he'd have had a much better chance of beating Kell Brook than Canelo, I think. I think that Mayweather situation was damaging for him. I thought he became too obsessed with the top pound for pound names, if you like.
And he took so much time out as well, like just chasing that fight. And it was definitely damaging for him. Definitely.
There you go. Stephen, mate, really appreciate you calling in. I must crack on in case a few others want to get involved, mate.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Really, really pleasure to be on.
Yeah, definitely. Let's call in again, mate. It's good to speak to you. Yeah.
Are you going to be coming out a video for the Frampton fight?
Yes, 100%. And we'll also get it on the pod. We'll get it on the podcast on Wednesday, and then I will also do a separate video before the fight.
Wicked. Thank you so much, Tom.
All right, Stephen. Really good to speak to you, mate.
Good work, man.
Cheers. Thank you, mate. Bye now. Thanks very much to Stephen, first-time caller. Really, really good call. So, thanks a lot to Stephen. And apologies to the chat. I haven't been able to keep up with it. Obviously, the nature of the live phone-in show is that we give preferential treatment to callers as opposed to people in the chat. So sorry if anyone's said something or asked something and I've missed it. But yeah, I think a few. Oh, I've got. Let's get Asim on. Sorry, I think I hung up on him by mistake. Let me try and call him back. Asim, sorry I missed you. If you're watching live, do call back in and we'll get you straight back online. Lines are free, guys. Call in if you want to call in. Otherwise, we will chat. Oh, Asim, I don't know if he's having some internet problems or something. Here we go. Asim, how you doing?
Hi, Tom. Can you hear me, mate?
Yeah. It's a little bit fuzzy, but you're coming through. How's life?
Yeah, not bad, buddy. First time caller. I'm sort of, I'd say I'm just in between a casual and a hardcore, if that makes sense. So nothing I say is, coming from any expertise. But
that's right,
but
mate.
also, like, if I'm watching, I was going to say as well, if I'm watching a show like this, I'd have to be more than just a casual, I guess. But
that's what I'm thinking, mate. I don't think there's too many pure casuals watching boxing on YouTube. So fair play to you.
So I obviously look out for the big fights, right? So we've got obviously Triple G taking on Kell Brook.
Yeah.
I was thinking, obviously, naturally, it's going to be natural to maybe look at Khan versus Canelo as a comparison. I was wondering, like, I wanted to get your opinion on this. Looking at Khan in the Canelo fight, he looked like podgy. Like, I don't think he got his conditioning correct. If you compare the what was his last fight, Alexander and Collazo fights, he looked more solid. So I think he did some miscalculation there on his conditioning. So I think he wasn't as strong as he could have been. Not saying he would have won, but what I do think Kell Brook will have is the correct conditioning. He's going to come in solid, not podgy like Khan did. I just wanted to know if you sort of agree with that. Or...
Do you know what? I think you're spot on. If I was training Amir Khan, and before I complete that statement, let me say I know the people who are training him are a lot more knowledgeable. Hello, can you hear me, mate? Can you hear me, Asim?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good stuff, mate. Yeah. What I was saying is I know the people in his corner are a lot more knowledgeable.
Hello.
Oh, you seem to be going in and out, mate.
Any luck?
I can hear you. I can hear you, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, buddy. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying is, if I was in Amir's corner, I would tell him I would have got him to come in at his normal fighting weight, and the reason for that is Khan's advantage is speed over Canelo. There's no point Khan being the same weight as Canelo because he's never going to knock Canelo out. He's never going to big man him. He's never going to outstrength him. He's never going to out wrestle him on the inside. Khan's advantage in that fight was to get on his bike for an entire 12 rounds and shoot the jab from range. And by coming in so heavy with visible fat on him, it decreased his chance of doing that for 12 rounds as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, there was a moment in the fight where I think Canelo lifted Khan with his neck.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. So I could just see the look on Khan's face. He knew he was in trouble. But yeah, I was just going to say that I think Kell Brook definitely has a better chance than Khan did against Canelo, if that makes sense. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. You think? Well, why do you think Brook's got a better chance then?
I just think he's a stronger athlete than Khan, and I'm actually a big Khan fan. I think Kell Brook probably... I think you just need to have enough punch power to get the guy to respect you enough. Otherwise, Canelo's just going to walk through you. So as long as Brook can keep him at bay, so that's the kind of X factor here. Can he keep him at bay? And I'm not sure he can, but he does have a strong jab. That's all I would sort of say in defence of Kell Brook.
My concern is he's got a strong jab at welterweight against 147-pound fighters who tend to be a lot smaller than him. They tend to be shorter, weaker men than him. So he's had that size advantage his entire career. And now he's going to be going up against a guy who's not only bigger than him and possibly stronger than him, but also has arguably the best jab in world boxing. And I just think Brook is a guy who's so reliant on that style. I think that style falls perfectly into Triple G's hands. It's one of those things. I actually think Brook is a better fighter than Khan, but I would have given Khan a bigger chance against Canelo than Brook against Golovkin. I just think stylistically, I don't see how Brook beats Golovkin. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see him out jabbing him. I don't think Brook's got anything else to deal with him.
Yeah, that when Triple G took on Lemieux, that to me was just an incredible performance. What he did to Lemieux just blew my mind. A lot of people were sort of criticising him for not finishing off Lemieux, but he showcased an absolutely smashing jab.
That's it.
If you remember watching the fight. Just one more thing before I let you go, because I know you got other callers. I saw an interview with Gabriel Rosado, and he was claiming that Triple G may have special gloves made for him by Grant, which has less padding on the knuckles and more of the weight is around the wrist.
Okay.
Do you think that? I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, this is a guy that's fought Golovkin. Would you say that's if you were in Kell Brook's camp, would you want to sort of follow that up? That to me is really interesting.
I haven't heard that before, actually. So that's
you could probably YouTube it. Like, if you just type in the keywords, it should come up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. What I would say is I know there are a lot of variations in gloves, and it is you do regularly get gloves where there's slightly more padding around the wrist rather than on the knuckle. It's obviously got to be within reason. I remember, I don't know if you remember, relatively recently there was a huge drug scandal for Mayweather-Maidana, and it was exactly over what you just mentioned. So it does happen, and it is a bit bizarre that there's so much variation in gloves as opposed to a more uniform thing. I know the reputation is that certain types of glove, like winning gloves, for example, are very padded and possibly not the best if you're. So it's interesting. I'll look that up though, mate. That is something certainly that could be a discussion point, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know if you're into sort of boxing history, but there's a documentary called, I think it's called Assault in the Ring. Okay. Not exactly the same thing, but there was a boxer, I think in the 80s, he cut the padding out of his gloves and he just beat the living daylights out of another guy for 12 rounds. And it's kind of a documentary following on from that. Like, what happened to that guy? He's obviously been living in sort of absolute despair since then. Just an interesting documentary I found online. Yeah, but,
it's the whole Margarito thing as well, wasn't there? With the
that was something through the hand wraps or something.
Yeah. He was putting plaster in his hand drops or something like that. So I'll look that up though. That's interesting what you mentioned about Golovkin's gloves. So no, cheers for that, mate.
Yeah, so I'll let you crack on, but good talking to you, mate.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for calling in, and we'll do it again. Cheers, mate. Bye now. Cool stuff. So we've had 2 first-time callers, which is great. I think I've missed a call from Johnny while we've had them on the line. So Johnny, if you did call in, mate, please feel free to call in again now. And we'll get you on straight away, mate. And the lines are now free, as you can tell. So if anyone else wants to call in, now is the time. Add me on Skype, boxing.gossip, and we'll get you straight in. So what are people saying in the chat then? I noticed there's some talk about Maidana. Ben Young says, have you seen Maidana's weight gain? Give you an interesting one, Ben. If you look up the official Facebook page of Andre Berto, Berto bumped into Maidana at a fight only this weekend and put up a photo of Maidana. Maidana's lost a lot of weight. He has lost a lot of weight. Maidana, to me, looked like he was down in 160s, 170s. The double chin was gone. The belly has gone. I think Maidana will be making a return, and I'll be honest with you, he was looking in pretty good nick, actually. He's obviously got him in shape very, very quickly. There we go. Mark says, I'm thinking Brook will hold loads and loads against Golovkin and get away with it. Golovkin is a very hard man to hold. He's an expert at not being held. He's got some real techniques in terms of how he puts his shoulder in and how he puts his hands out. He is not an easy man to hold. He's far more sophisticated than Sean Porter. He's also far bigger than Sean Porter. So let's see. I'm not sure Brook's going to get away with holding to the same extent. Let's have a look. YouTube says Maidana will KO Crawford. I mean, Maidana is going to be a much bigger man than Crawford, and he's obviously a very big puncher. So I doubt that's a fight we'll see. I think Crawford certainly got a skill advantage. Grant says, is it me or does anything below heavyweight bore you? That's probably you, Grant. I'm a big heavyweight fan. I love the heavyweight division. But certainly the other weight classes have some real interesting fights going on as well. Tom would love to see a Maidana versus Khan rematch. I'd watch that, Tom, definitely. Mikey says Triple G has 0 head movement. Brook is a great combination puncher, so he has a chance. I don't see it, Mikey. I really don't see it. Brook is a great combination puncher with certain types of combinations. Straight, long punches against much smaller men. He's going up against one of the best jabbers in the world who's bigger than him. Let's have a look. YouTube says Gossip's pound-for-pound fighter is Zolani Tete. Well, as I say, the pound-for-pound global list is coming tomorrow, YouTube, so you can check it out and you can ascertain who the pound-for-pound fighters I'm rating actually are. Ruben says Maidana versus Spence would be cool. Oh, that'd be a war, wouldn't it? Absolute war. Spence is a very, very good fighter. Let me just have a look. Team Groves, I watched an interview with Robert Garcia and he said Maidana has not mentioned a comeback. Yeah, I saw that as well. Berto was strongly suggesting, he says Maidana's got a big announcement to come soon or something to that effect. So, you know, would be interesting. Would be interesting. Let's have a look. Johnny going to call in a minute, which is cool. Sorry, I'm falling behind on the chat. Mikey, I need to have a look at the opponent a bit more, mate. I'll try and cover that on the podcast, maybe. Tom says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how smug will you be in the podcast with your Crawford prediction? I won't spoil the surprise, Tom, but I've prepared something for the podcast. So you'll have to wait and see, mate. Ben says, what weight class do you reckon Crawford will reach? Probably 147, Ben. It's the glamour division. It's the money division. If you looked at him against Postol, he wasn't that massive in there. He was the smaller man. So I think 147 will be his limit. YouTube says, Brook has terrific inside game, but can hold his opponent when he needs to be. YouTube, I disagree. Brook doesn't have any inside game other than holding. No inside game whatsoever. Lombe says, why do I slag off Kell Brook? I don't slag off Kell Brook. I like Kell Brook, but weight class is for a reason. I think the best guy at 160 will beat the best guy at 147. That's not slagging him off. It's just my opinion. Just because you don't think a guy's going to win doesn't mean you're slagging him off. MHV says Tyrone Nurse versus Tommy Coyle this week. Real good fight. Very much looking forward to that one. Instinct initially was Tyrone Nurse. As we've got closer to the fight, I've given Coyle more of a chance. So I'm looking forward to that. Mikey says, call me crazy, but I fancy Nurse to beat Ricky Burns. Rate him so highly. Absolutely, Mikey. Matt Berry says, Crawford, top pound-for-pound fighter. Callum says, Flanagan versus Video. Who takes it? Need to watch more Video. Possibly Flanagan. Terence says, I predicted Crawford easily. Don't know what all the fuss is about with Postol. Bruce says, Crawford was 157 on fight night against Postol. Yeah, but the fact he can make 140 and he's so much smaller than Postol tells me that he's probably not going to have success at 154. Maybe 147, but not 154. MHV says, Luke Campbell versus Orginas Mendez. Anyone see an upset here? Again, I need to look up more of the opponent. I'm going to do all this prep in advance of the podcast on Wednesday. But yeah, this is a tough fight. YouTube says, oh, that was a joke about Brooks. Yeah, I hear you, YouTube. I hear you, mate. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead in the chat because I can't keep up with it. Mikey says, anyone fancy Allen to beat David Whyte? If he can survive an early onslaught, I think he can take him out late. Yeah, Mikey, I don't disagree there, mate. Team Grove says, you give him Frampton a chance. I'm actually thinking he'll do it. I think it's going to be tough work for him, but I certainly don't count him out. Mark says, what do you think of Flanagan v. Barroso? I'd love that fight. Crawler beat him. Be cool to see how Turbo would do. Yeah, I think Barroso, funnily enough, his style would play more into Flanagan's hands. You know, I think Flanagan's someone who likes to sit back and have someone attack him, and he likes to counterpunch. So, yeah, that'd be interesting. Terence Talbot says, is Ricky Burns pound for pound? Well, if you watch my British pound for pound list video, Terence, you'd know the answer to that, mate. So check it out. Ben, Crawler versus Linares, who wins? Real tough fight. I've underestimated Crawler time and time again. But I'm going to pick against him for like the 4th fight in a row and go Linares. YouTube says, Alan says his manager, Steffi Bull, and trainer both advised him against taking a fight. He did, YouTube. I did an interview with him on this very channel where he talks about that, actually. Callum, I didn't watch that fight, mate. Paul says, Tom, please tell me Fury isn't number 1 pound for pound in your worldwide list. Well, you have to check it out, Paul. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, mate, but you have to see. Tom, I haven't seen any figures on the Crawford pay-per-view. Don't believe they've been worked out yet. And Tom says he heard it's 80k to break even. I imagine it will do 80k. I don't imagine it'll be too much more than that. But there we are. Guys, let's try and get someone else to call in. We've been burning now for about 40 minutes or so. So, you know, it would be good to get someone else to call in. We've got 2 very, very good callers already. It'd be good if we could get someone else into the mix. Can't stay on for too long tonight because I've got a particularly early start tomorrow morning. Bit of an aggressive alarm, sadly, for work. I've got Jonathan calling in. Jonathan, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are things?
Yeah. All good. You enjoying the show tonight?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, no, some good callers. You know, it's good to hear people, you know, sort of calling in, voicing their opinions, Tom. I just wanted to get your thoughts, and I am expecting the video from yourself, and probably after the weigh-in, on the Alan, and I say Alan first, I think he's going to win, the Alan Whyte fight on Saturday.
I'm really looking forward to it, mate. Can you mute your... if you're watching it live... Oh no! Sorry, not mute yourself, mate. If you're watching it on YouTube, can you like mute the YouTube video or something like that? Because otherwise, it's that's there we go. Cheers, mate. Yeah, great fight. Really looking forward to it. I give Alan a real major chance. I see it as a 50-50. I really do. Dillian Whyte has really not impressed me. You know, I was so high on Dillian Whyte. I remember reading about him in the amateurs, and I've always followed him and I've always rated him. And I thought his performance in the Joshua fight was terrible. He gets a lot of credit for going 7 rounds, and I think that's because people are so hyped up on Joshua that they think anyone who goes 7 rounds must be spectacular. But I thought his performance against Joshua was terrible, and I thought he was even worse last time out against, is it Bakurin? Having said that, Dave Allen, let's be honest, has probably not shown anything better in a pro ring either. So it's a tough fight for me. I give Allen a real chance, though. I think Dillian Whyte is in terrible shape. I can't see him doing 12 rounds. And I think if Allen's chin is as good as he believes it is, I think he's got a real chance in the second half of this fight. What about yourself, mate?
Yeah, I'm with you on it. I'm looking at the odds on Dave Allen at 4-1, and I'm looking at odds of him 10-1 to win on points, and I'm thinking it's worth £5 of my money. You know, facing my pizza on Saturday night. You know, I think the only thing that concerns me is the weight difference, and from what I gather, I mean, I spoke with Dave Allen before on Twitter. He seems to think that White's going to be coming in about 20-25 pounds heavier than him, which is obviously quite a lot. And considering there's only a 3-inch height difference, that's quite a substantial amount of weight. Obviously, Whyte was at the career heaviest against Bakurin last time out, and you know, Whyte was actually Dave and Allen was at a career lightest.
Yeah.
So that shows where both fighters are at the moment. I looked at an interview with Dillian Whyte that he did with Sky Sports today, and it seems that Mr. Allen's kind of got on his head a little bit. He seems like he has wound him up somewhat, which I quite like. He's quite easily wound up, Mr. Whyte, isn't he?
He's got a short fuse, yeah, which is part of the reason he's such an entertaining guy. Yeah, do you know what? I'll talk about the weight, actually. I think that's very, very interesting. And Mikey makes a good point in the chat, and Dave Allen actually told me this as well. He said, don't bet on points because he can't see how this fight goes 12 rounds. You know, it's going to be a war. So Dave Allen himself said if he's going to win the fight, it's by a knockout, which for me I found interesting because I thought Dave Allen would outpoint him, but he's not going in there with that mentality. But do you know what? For me, the bigger the weight difference, the better for Dave Allen. If Dillian Whyte's a very big puncher, look, if Dillian Whyte lands on Dave Allen early on, he's probably going to hurt him if he's 19 stone, 18 stone, or 17 stone. He's such a big man. You know, he's going to be a big man anyway. But I think Dillian Whyte's big problem is that he's a bit too overweight, and it affects his conditioning, it affects his output, it affects his movement, it affects his accuracy, his speed. I would love it, for me as a Dave Allen fan, if Dave Allen comes in at 16.5 stone and Whyte comes in 25 pound heavier than him, I'm even more. I think that's a huge plus for Dave Allen personally. I don't see. I think the bigger the weight difference, the better. But maybe that's a strange way of looking at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't get caught in the first two, it's Allen's to lose, I think. I mean, I was talking to him before. I said, look, you've got to go for the body. You know, this guy's not got the best conditioning, and apparently his head's like a rock, which is Oliver-esque. I just think Dave needs to go for the body, stay quite evasive the first couple of rounds, and I think he'll outpoint him. I think that he will outpoint him, and I think I'm going to go Allen on points. And he's just winding us all up, and he's actually going to try and box him. That's what I think.
It's interesting. But do you think? Let's say that the fight goes as we're both expecting it to, right? Do you see Dillian Whyte going 12? Like, I'm not saying Allen will necessarily knock him out, but I don't know if Whyte's going to have the conditioning to go 12.
That's interesting. I can't see Dillian Whyte quitting though. I can't see him quitting, and I can't see Allen quitting, and I think it's going to be Fury, Chisora 1 sort of esque, then just kind of wrestling each other for 8 rounds, you know, under the lights. Interesting enough, and I think you like this point, Tom, as well, the fact that Eddie Hearn has put this fight on as the second live show says to me that he thinks it's going to go quite long, because normally that's when on the undercard, that's when they normally have the longer fights, isn't it? The lighter weights.
Yeah. So what? Sorry. So it's the second fight on the running order, is it? Did you say?
It's the second fight. You know, I think it's good enough to be a headline show. I think it'd be a better fight than a Warrington fight.
Yeah.
But if you look at, you know, Luke Campbell is higher up on the card than him. So this fight is actually, I think it could even be first to air. I think it's 8:30 ring walk, which says to me that, you know, maybe Eddie Hearn thinks there's some rounds in it. I mean, normally he puts the McDonough brothers on, doesn't he, first? Yeah,
no, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Do you know the one thing that occurred to me, right, is Eddie Hearn. It's interesting because Dave Allen's one of these guys he's probably not highly regarded by the fans because he hasn't been on TV a lot. And the only fight he's been on TV was the Gavern fight, and he looked terrible. But in boxing, people who know boxing talk good things about Dave Allen. You know, he spars very well. He's done good rounds against good fighters. You know, Eddie Hearn must know a lot about Dave Allen, specifically from the Joshua sparring. What's interesting to me is there's no way Eddie Hearn is making this fight if he gives Dave Allen even a chance of winning. Dillian Whyte is huge for Eddie Hearn's business. That Dillian Whyte Joshua fight, can you imagine the money in that rematch? They did £3.5 million purse for a British title. That's potentially a £10 million fight for a world title.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn must be 100% confident Dillian Whyte is going to run through him, or else I don't think he makes the fight.
I think he's made a mistake.
I think he's made a mistake as well, you know, but that's my instinct. But the truth, I kind of think Eddie must know better. But, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
I think Eddie thinks he's going to walk through him, and I think this could be a major upset. All right, Peter Fury's no mug, one of the best trainers in the world, right? He was going to sign Dave Allen. He was going to manage and coach him, 18 months ago?
Yeah.
Peter Fury's going to sign some prat that can't walk.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
I'll tell you.
And why did he?
Here's another. Do you remember when Audley Harrison was going to come back after Big Brother? And there was big talk about Audley having one more run at a world title or something, and then he got in very good shape, Audley. But then he quit 'cause he picked up an injury or something like that.
Yeah.
I've been told that Eddie Hearn rung up Dave Allen and scoped out Dave Allen as an opponent for Audley for that particular fight. So to me, that tells me that Eddie Hearn may not be overly sold on Dave Allen if he's picking Dave Allen as an opponent that Audley can even run through. So
yeah,
it's interesting because I mean, Allen supposedly sparred very well with Klitschko. He sparred so well with the Furies have signed him. He put Arthur Spilker down in sparring. He's done 50 rounds with Joshua and never been dropped. You know, it all sounds like he's a real talent. He's undefeated. You know, he's a youngster, so he's got a huge room for improvement. But you know, Eddie must think that Dillian Whyte's going to decapitate him. It's interesting. He must do.
It'd be hilarious. It's laughing though. You know, we all love Eddie. You know, we all love Fast Car, don't we? You know, he has made it. You know, a bit more interesting, hasn't he, the last couple of years and stuff. But I don't know, just to see one of his guys go down. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm proper anti-matchroom. Any matchroom fighter, I hope loses. I'm Mr. Box Nation. You know, I just don't like the way it's all become really corporate and not 50-50 fights and stuff. And I really hope that Dave pulls it out of the bag and upsets the apple cart somewhat.
Absolutely, it would be great if he did. And Dave Allen's a real character, and as you know, if you speak to him, he's a top guy as well. You know, and it's going to open up some real doors for him if he wins this fight. You know, Alan Chisora, Alan Price. Maybe, you know, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's not impossible. We could be talking Dave Allen, Anthony Joshua for the world title if he goes and knocks out Dillian Whyte. You know.
Why not? I mean, I look at the records this afternoon. I think top man. I think Allen's best wins Jason Gavin.
Yeah.
White's best wins Brian Mintor. The same standard.
Yeah.
Everyone looked like Dillian Whyte's this big European level fighter. They never fought anyone on European level. I mean, the best person in his fight was an out of date Brian Mintor, Costa Jr., who he dug up from Brazil, who hasn't won a fight since outside his own country. And to be fair, I mean, none of them have fought. It's a cracking fight. I mean, honestly, guys, get your money on Mr. Allen. But I do fear for him in the first couple of rounds. If he gets through the first couple of rounds, he'll win.
Yeah, it's unfortunate his trainer isn't in his corner either. I think that's a blow. Yeah, his trainer's gone out on a training camp with Kel. So he's not going to be in his corner for him, sadly.
He's not, because he was with Peter Fury this afternoon, and that for a fact. So
that's interesting.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because them two, Dave was definitely with Peter this afternoon because he tweeted and spent the afternoon with Peter Fury. So I wonder if Mr. Fury might make a guest appearance. You never know, do you?
Yeah, because Peter Fury's good mates with Dillian Whyte, though. So I'm wondering how that would. Yeah, but it's a real interesting fight. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, and it's your point about Dillian Whyte is spot on. He's not proven to be a European level fighter at all, but what he's got is he's a fantastic personality which people buy into. He's a big puncher, which the majority of the boxing public get obsessed with. And he also went 7 rounds with Anthony Joshua, which people are seriously hyped up about because everyone thinks Joshua's the second coming of Mike Tyson. But the truth is, in that Joshua fight, all he really did was land one punch. You know, he got schooled every single round and threw a sort of wild, desperate haymaker, which landed. But was too unfit and too slow to capitalise on it and get Joshua out of there. You know, I don't know. I think Allen may be better than advertised, and I have serious doubts on Dillian Whyte at this point. And I've really rated Dillian Whyte all the way through his career, but you know, the last 2 fights, I've really been disappointed by his performances. You know, so it's a real interesting one. Yeah.
I think the British heavyweight seems very interesting at the minute as well. I mean, obviously you got Fury, Chisora, you know, Price, the more experienced guys. And then you've got Huey Fury, who's ranked number 5 by the WBA. So where would you put Huey if you had in a, I don't know, say a hypothetical, rank these in order of number 4. You've got Huey Fury, Dillian Whyte, Dave Allen, and I don't know. Who's the fellow who's got the Southern area at the minute?
Dominic Akinlade.
No, not Dominic Akinlade. Who's the guy?
Tom Little?
Who's the fellow that knocked out that guy in Asia the other week?
Oh, Ian Lewison, yeah.
Crack fight. Huey Fury, Ian Lewison on the undercard.
Yeah, I mean, Huey Fury would be number 1 by miles. Not only has he beaten the best opposition, the likes of Rudenko, Gwyn, Cassie, he also, just to the eye, looks by far the most talented. He looks like a fighter to me who could go on to world level. And he's still a baby as well. He's an absolute baby in terms of the heavyweight division. So he'd be number 1 by miles. At this point, as I say, I've got Dave Allen and Dillian Whyte pretty level. I'd have them both ahead of Ian Lewison, if I'm honest. I like Ian Lewison. He's a nice guy, and he's not a bad fighter, but I see him as a sub-British level fighter, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of the other guys in the mix. I know Dominic Akinlade is fighting Tom Little for the Southern area. Potentially the winner of that versus Ian Lewison. Maybe Ian Lewison versus Gary Cornish. Maybe Ian Lewison versus Sam Sexton. Those are the kind of fights I'd more be looking at for him. But I heard he's going to go back out and fight in China. I presume he's getting well paid out there as well. So, maybe that's where it's going to take him. Yeah. But it's an amazing sport, isn't it?
No, it is, mate. Like I say, I'll let you crack on, but, really looking forward to Saturday night. I'm a Northerner. Obviously, I like Dave Allen. I think Dave Allen will win. I think Lee Campbell's... by the way, I'm doing this so I can win your glove, by the way.
Do it, mate.
I'm going to go all the matchroom fighters, Warrington, Campbell, Nurse, but Dave Allen upsets Dillian Whyte.
Dave Allen upsets Dillian Whyte. Cool. All right, mate. All right, let's... I appreciate you calling in. Good to speak as always. And, let's try and get you on next week or something. Maybe we do a bit of a recap.
No props. I'll send you my address to send me my glove. Thank you very much.
Good stuff. Cheers, mate. Catch you later. Cheers. Cheers to Jonathan for calling in. We've done well on the caller front tonight. Some real good callers. And what Jonathan was referring to, just for people who've joined live during the show, is I'm going to do a prediction competition this week. I'll put up a video to win this, which is a signed Johnny Nelson glove. Big old glove, as you can see. Big compared to my face, and I've got a big face. So, details on how to win this coming on later in the week. I'll do a special video, but it's going to be like a prediction tournament, essentially. I saw one comment in the chat from Mikey. Thoughts on Sean Turner, 7-0 Irish heavyweight. Looks out of shape and bad technically. Yeah, he's quite small. Copend has actually said he's too small. So, And he's also, Copend's also said, is John McDermott still fighting? I don't believe so. I don't think he's fought since Matt Skelton 3 or 4 years ago, actually. I think Sean Turner looks pretty average to me. I heard he's fighting Gavern next, so we'll have to see. Jet says Sexton is, which I think he means average. Can't believe he's still fighting. Coppen says, what's happening with the 2 Swedish heavyweight prospects? Well, Coppen, I'm hoping to bring an interview with Adrian Granat tomorrow on the channel. I think the other one's Otto Wallin, who I know has been sparring with Joshua. So hopefully I'll get that interview and we can hear more. Mikey says, thoughts on Usyk Glowacki? I'm thinking an Usyk UD. Yeah, Usyk UD is probably the sensible bet. It's a fantastic fight. I think the winner of that we can talk about in the context of being a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter. I think it's a superb, very, very high-level fight. Jet says Usyk UD or late stoppage. Callum says Usyk by late TKO after a war. Mikey rates Usyk. Callum says he can't wait to see him clean out the division. See what he looks like at heavyweight. Big Usyk fans there. I think people are getting too hyped up about him moving to heavyweight, though. Jet's actually making that point. Jet says Usyk's the best at cruiserweight, even though he doesn't hold a belt. Kanini says he's in New Zealand waiting for Parker's team announcement. Yeah, all the rumours say Jet says it's coming Tuesday. Yeah, but I think it is Tuesday in New Zealand, Jet. I might have got that horribly wrong, but I think it actually is Tuesday now in New Zealand. Yeah, Kiwi says today, they reckon. So I'm thinking Dimitrenko. I did a video on that. It's shout out to all the Joseph Parker and Kiwi fans out there, because I did 2 Joseph Parker videos last week, and it's not all about views, but one of them's on 4,000 views, one of them's on 2,000 views. So I really appreciate everyone tuning in from that part of the world. Paul says, have you seen the thing Frank Warren does to his shoulder in every interview? I haven't. Mikey says, Bellew is on death row at cruiserweight. Yeah, he's surrounded by absolute wolves. And that's why he's talking about fighting David Haye, Mikey. That's precisely why he's talking about fighting David Haye, because if he's going to go in with one of them, he may as well do it for £1 million payday. Matt says it's Tuesday morning in New Zealand. Coppen says agree. Killer after killer at cruiserweight. Jake Penn, I think Liam Smith will stop Canelo later on. Well, I need to think about that fight, but I don't think Liam Smith will stop Canelo, to be honest. Ben, I answered that earlier on, mate. I think Linares is a favourite over Crawler. Mikey says Dimitrenko, real tough fight for Parker. Surprised I'm the only one who thinks that. Yeah, I don't think it's a tough fight. I think it's a good learning fight. I don't think Dimitrenko's got anything to trouble Parker with, though. He's slow. He's been fighting at a low opposition. He's a bit awkward. His power's average. Callum says Usyk 6'4" and said he will eventually move up. Yeah, I heard that, Callum. The 6'4" thing doesn't overly impress me. I mean, Callum Smith is 6'4", for example. But yeah, I mean, I doubt he'll be as effective as heavyweight as he is at cruiserweight, if I'm honest. Ben says he believes Dimitrenko is tough. Yes, Dimitrenko is tough. He'll give Parker rounds. Harley says Parker easy UD. I think Parker wins by easy UD as well, actually. Parker will have a huge advantage in speed, in snap, in athleticism. I think he wins by easy UD. But Ben says Parker didn't look excellent against Humano. That's true. He looked average against Humano. But I don't think Dimitrenko, styles make fights. I don't think Dimitrenko. Parker, for me, very good when given time, space, and range. Not so good when someone really sticks it on him, like Hermano did. Dimitrenko will stand off him and box. Callum B says Callum Smith is not 6'4", mate. I think Callum Smith is actually 6'4". I'm pretty sure he is 6'4". Someone else can comment in the chat, but I'm 6'4", and I don't think I'm taller than Callum Smith. I haven't met him. I think he is 6'4". TTRP says Parker needs to fight Dimitrenko if he's planning to fight Joshua. Certainly a good fight in terms of the size. I don't think Dimitrenko matches Joshua in any other way other than size. Mikey says thoughts on Sergei Devranchenko. He cleaned out Sam Solomon. Yeah, Sam Solomon, hard to know what he's got left, isn't it, really? He's like 70, isn't he? But yeah, to get rid of him in 2 rounds is highly impressive. Look forward to seeing more of him. Mark says, I'm wondering why the long wait for Haye versus Briggs. Both had bums. Well, the rumours spreading, Mark, is that David Haye is going to be fighting for the WBA regular title, potentially against Chigayev. Oh, Daniel's actually making his point. Says Haye may fight Chigayev. So, yeah, that Briggs fight may be slipping away. And also the Bellew fight is going to be a big money fight if that's get made. Tom O'Brien, Irish Tom from the podcast. Good evening, sir. Hope you're doing well. He says Parker has lovely arms. He certainly does. He's got lovely hair as well. Kanini says thoughts on Kevin Barry. Does Parker need a better trainer? You know, Parker for me is just not a natural defensive fighter. His trainer's telling him the right thing, but you know he's not doing it. Tom says Smith 6'3". Team Grove says Smith is 6'3". Okay. Callum says Devryachenko is a killer. Problem is he's a bit small at middleweight. Jake says, do you think Coyle will beat Nurse? I need to have another think on that, but I'll do a video later on in the week. It's a very good fight. Mikey says, Hay will spark Jagayev. Completely agree, Mikey. Cool. Guys, we've been live for an hour. I don't think anyone else is going to call in now. We've had some real good callers tonight. Shout out to Jonathan. Shout out to Asim. Shout out to Stephen. Thanks very much for calling in. I'm going to wrap it up, chaps. I have got a very early start tomorrow. So I need to hit the David Hay. But yeah, just to remind you, tomorrow I'll be dropping a video on the pound for pound global list, the top 10 globally. I'll be trying to get that interview with Adrian Granat. Wednesday, we've got a podcast with all the usual suspects, Jet, Seri, Irish Tom, Paul. Thursday, we'll get some prediction videos up and we'll do this Johnny Nelson signed glove giveaway. Thanks to everyone who's joined in the chat. Appreciate all the kind words and kind comments from everyone. If you've watched live and enjoyed the show, or if you're watching this on repeat, please do support the channel by hitting the thumbs up button. It helps me spread this to a wider audience, which means we will get more callers, which means we will get more glove giveaways, means we'll get a better podcast. Hit the thumbs up, help the channel. If you're new, please do subscribe. I learned recently, I've got a bit of a stat, 2/3 of people who watch my videos haven't subscribed. So only 33% of people watching this are subscribers to the channel. It's amazed me, actually. So if you're one of the 67% watching who hasn't subscribed before, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Thanks to everyone indeed who's joined in on the chat. And yeah, hope you all join in again for the podcast on Wednesday. Have a good evening.